Kenneth Clark expressed his admiration for this artwork by calling it the first great picture which can be called revolutionary in every sense of the word, in style, in subject, and in intention. In style because war isn't glorified and as polished as it had been in previous historical paintings. Here, the dark and raw brutality of war is on display through loose brushstrokes which convey emotion over technical proficiency. In subject because the focus of this painting isn't on heroes vanquishing, but on victims getting brutally murdered. These aren't kings, nobles, or knights. They are common people, people without any names to remember. In intention because it wasn't made to celebrate a victory, but to denounce war and violence. This has been considered by many as the first anti-war painting. All throughout art history, most artworks were commissioned by powerful people, and the idea of making art about the powerless instead of about the powerful was quite new. Francisco Goya, through his reputation, had the power to make art about the powerless. In 1808, France invaded Spain. Between 1810 and 1820, during that occupation and the Peninsular War which followed, Goya made a series of 82 prints titled The Disasters of War. Plate 15, titled And It Cannot Be Helped, features a scene that would later be called revolutionary by art historian Kenneth Clark. You probably already know this painting titled The 3rd of May 1808. It's an incredible work of art, but it has a lesser-known sister, The 2nd of May 1808. This painting shows what led to the 3rd of May. After the French occupation announced that they'd be removing the last members of the royal family, the Spanish people of Madrid rebelled. You see the fighting, the casualties on both sides, the bloodshed. What might be weird to audiences today is the soldiers' outfits. They're wearing turbans and their skin is darker than your typical 19th century Frenchman. To quell the uprising, the Mamluks, a French cavalry of Egyptian origins, was sent. Having Muslim soldiers fighting Spaniards just made things worse because of the history of Muslim authorities on Spanish territory. Art historian Christopher Johns, in a lecture available on YouTube, says that Goya intentionally made the soldiers look darker to inspire patriotism and make the invaders look even more foreign and Muslim. Even though Kenneth Clark loved the 3rd of May 1808, he called the 2nd of May 1808 a failure, and I understand him. The whole point of this composition is to show the chaos of an uprising, but because of this chaos, there isn't a hero or a focal action which pulls our eye in. There's nothing that really sticks with us, which makes this artwork forgetful. The 3rd of May 1808 does the complete opposite. A group of men facing death pull your eye in. Men are pointing guns at them. There are 3 dead bodies at their feet, and people behind them are waiting for their turn to die. This is the morning following the uprising. Orders were given to execute every rebel with a weapon. It's a dark painting with only one source of light, which lights up the victims. The sky, Madrid, and the soldiers are all kept in darkness. I think the most compelling way to look at this artwork is by comparing the group of martyrs and the group of soldiers. I've already mentioned the lighting, which positions one group in light, literally framed by it, and another group in darkness. The victims are chaotically composed. A monk is praying, a man is covering his face, one is defiantly looking at his executioners, and finally, a Christ-like figure, dressed in bright white, with holes in his hands, arms stretched out as if he was on the cross, takes the spotlight. Through his stature, relative brightness, and position in the composition, he becomes the unnamed hero of this painting, a stand-in hero for all the rebels who died to the French execution squad. The other group is this execution squad. Unlike the chaotic victims, which all have different reactions, gestures, and looks, the squad members are the same, dressed the same, and positioned the same. There's a loss of identity in the squad, a loss emphasized by the fact that we can't see any of the executioners' faces. This loss of identity, by blending in with their fellow soldiers, dilutes their accountability. Christopher Johns said that Goya was a collaborator when the French occupation happened. Like many Spanish liberals, they saw the French as a progressive force representing Enlightenment values. Goya had supported the liberty, equality, and fraternity of the French Revolution. He could have also collaborated because he had to. He swore loyalty to Joseph Bonaparte, Spain's king under French occupation, but we won't know if it was out of self-preservation or conviction. When the French were kicked out, the reactionary king, King Ferdinand VII, dealt harshly with collaborators, executing them, for example. Still, according to Christopher Johns, these two paintings were meant, yes, to celebrate the Spanish resistance, but also to affirm loyalty to the new Spanish regime. Perhaps to correct Kenneth Clark, the 3rd of May is the first great picture which can be called revolutionary in almost every sense of the word, in style and in subject, perhaps not entirely in intention. But whether or not Goya did this painting to affirm loyalty to the new Spanish regime or not, he definitely did this painting to denounce the atrocities of war, atrocities he witnessed firsthand living under French occupation. And the way he depicted these atrocities through expression, sensitivity, and outrage was clearly new for his era. Goya really imposed himself in his paintings, giving himself the legitimacy to do it as they expressed his own experiences witnessing war. One of my first videos on this channel 6 years ago was made on the 3rd of May 1808, and as a conclusion, I said that this painting reminded us that anyone could be both the victims or the aggressors. It's true, the violence of war, the dangerousness of anonymity given by uniforms, the fact that once the war machine starts, everybody is powerless in making it stop. All of this is terrifying. But to me, what makes Goya stand out is the fact that he was the first one to denounce this through art, and that to be the first one to do it, he had to live these experiences, live the trauma, the fear, and the anguish that such events inflict on witnesses. He had to live them and process them so intensely that it pushed him to make the first ever artwork, to denounce what had scarred him forever. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, I'd like to thank Roman Brandel, X-Talents, Jeff, and all my other patrons for supporting the channel. If you also want to support and be in the credits at the end of each of the videos, you should be seeing all the credits right now of all the patrons, all the wonderful people who are generous enough to support the channel monetarily. Check out patreon.com/thecanvas, or if you want to support, you can still share, like, subscribe, and all of that. Of course, that always helps. Anyway, thank you again for watching, and see you in the next video.